Welcome, everybody, to another episode of MC Fireside Chats. My name is Brian Searl with Insider Perks and Modern Campground. I've got my Irish hat on, mostly because I didn't shave my head, so I feel like that's just going to be my new look. Whenever I wear that Irish hat, you can just assume that I forgot to shave my head. That'll be our secret code. No, it's my new look. Have you seen this yet, Sandy? Like, I came back from Ireland, and like I feel it fits my personality pretty well, doesn't
I
it?
think it fits your personality perfect. I love it.
Wait till you see my. Are you going to be at Ojai, Sandy?
Yes, just for one day.
Okay. I have like a Irish Donegal tweed coat that I bought too. I don't normally come home with souvenirs ever, but my family is at least some portion Irish. So, and then now I want to do a DNA test to make sure I'm worthy of wearing that coat, but I'm not sure if I want to give the companies that information yet. So we'll figure it out. But welcome, everybody. So excited to be here for you. This is our, is it 1, 2, 3, third week episode of the month, the 15th. Anyway, welcome everybody. We are joined by a couple of our recurring guests here, Mike Harrison from CRR Hospitality, Sandy Ellingson from, is it Campground Advocate? Is that now you have an official company name?
Yeah, it's my company is Sandy Ellingson LLC. So
okay. That's what I thought. I thought it was Sandy Ellingson, but Campground Advocate is good. I feel like that's a name. Didn't Art Lieberman use that years ago when he was, did you ever know Art?
I knew who he was, but that's the way they describe me for what I do when I
started. I feel like I own that domain name. So if you have $10,000 sitting around, I think I have campgroundadvocate.com. I'm just saying.
Oh, gotcha.
And then we have Hannah all the way from UK. Welcome, Hannah.
Hi.
We have Sangeetha here, who's going to join us too, our other special guest. So we want to go around the room briefly and just introduce ourselves. We'll start with our recurring guests. Mike, you want to go first?
Sure. Good afternoon, Mike Harrison with CRR Hospitality. We own and manage luxury RV resorts, glamping, and hotels. Also do consulting and third-party management work for others. So thank you.
Thanks for being here, Mike, as always. Sandy?
Well, I sold a technology company. I was already an RVer and somehow vicariously ended up helping campgrounds and the industry, and it became a second career, and I love it. So I do serve as a campground advocate, as we were talking about. So most of what I get to do for campgrounds is free. So
can you work for me for free too?
I sure can if you're working with a campground.
Mike, can I work with one of your campgrounds?
Not for free.
Damn it. All right. We'll figure this out after the show. Hannah, please introduce yourself.
Okay. Hi, I'm Hannah from the UK. I own Wild Woodland Retreat, which is a tiny campsite, camping glam site, goat yoga, different things going on. And we're a farm as well. So that's the main, it's mainly a farm. And then 10 years ago, I decided to do the glamping and later on the camping and other things. So yeah. That's me.
So Hannah, are you including a lot of agritourism in your glamping?
No.
That's become very popular. We have a lot of people coming from England to one of my parks that's an agritourism park.
Okay. That's interesting. Yeah, the farm is just so bad now. You know, it's just not really earning any money, and husband's just a bit down about it. And it's like, yeah. So kind of not really knowing where to go with that. With the farming at the moment, so yeah, I haven't even looked into that.
Well, we're excited. I'm excited to dive into your property, learn more about it. I specifically, and don't answer this question yet, because we want to keep the people watching the show for a little bit, because they won't stay just for me; they stay for the special guests. So I want to know if you can do goat yoga with baby goats too, or if it's just adult goats. Because my girlfriend will be on a plane tomorrow. If you can do goat yoga with baby goats.
Funnily,
you can't answer it yet. They'll turn off.
No, I'm not allowed to.
Okay.
Sorry.
Like, stay tuned for MC Fireside Chats. We'll reveal the answer soon. Sangeetha, is it Sangeetha or Sangeetha? I'm so sorry. I know I'm pronouncing it wrong.
It's Sangeetha.
Oh, I did get it right. Okay. All right. Perfect. Sangeetha, welcome. Can you please introduce yourself and tell us where you're from?
Yes, Sangeetha Ramkumar. I'm the owner of Dunya Camp. We're a glamping property in North Georgia. I've been in business this is our third year.
Awesome. Excited to learn more about, is it Dunya Camp? Did I pronounce that right?
Dunya.
Okay. Excited to learn more about business. So typically how we start this show is I'll go to my recurring guests, Mike and Sandy. Is there anything that has come across your guys' desk in the last month since we've all been on the show together that you feel is worthy of discussion or discourse or anything else?
Well, we've had kind of an uproar going on since Thursday. The new NEC 551 code was released, and there was a document that was released internally with all the guys doing electrical, and a lot of our places that are most popular places to go and read about this kind of stuff picked it up, but AI wrote the articles and they were absolutely incorrect. So I've had just literally over 100 phone calls since Thursday from campgrounds that are concerned about it. And so we're going to be putting out a paper on it. We've already done a press release, and we'll be doing, I'm going to do a recorded podcast with one of the people that's the author of the paper. And we'll put that out there for everybody to see. But for right now, I just need my campgrounds to know you do not need to panic. You do not have to convert every single one of your pedestals immediately. And it's not a requirement on the campgrounds. It's a requirement on the industry. So
for clarity for the people who don't know what that is,
Okay, so the NEC is the organization that oversees all of the way electrical things are put together and monitored and safe. So there's been a lot of discussion for a couple of years about the hooking your RV up to the pedestals in campgrounds. And it's been a very hot topic because the types of pedestals, the age of the pedestals, the safety of the pedestals has been, concerned because some of the older pedestals have not been replaced in 30 years. And then these newer campgrounds come in with a higher energy draw, and there could create some problems. And so there's been a lot of discussion on how to fix that. The parks have been afraid in the past about that. And so now basically what they're going to be doing is just making the OEMs, the people that make the RVs, are going to be a little bit more responsible for it. And there are going to be some things coming for the campgrounds, but not requirements, and things that actually might help them long-term with marketing their park. So I'm working on that with them. So we'll see how that goes. But it's all about how the pedestal at a campground connects to an RV.
Is it true that when the government is shut down that you don't have to follow any of the laws? Is that true? So they can ignore that for now? Because AI told me that too. So I just wanted to make sure that was the case. So don't worry about this until the government. No, I'm just kidding. Definitely don't listen to me for legal advice. Mike, anything that's come across your desk?
Well, we finished up the glamping show, last week, which I think was, a great evolution of what it's continued to be. And I think some of the big news that was released without, being repetitive, but I don't think it's repetitive for those that aren't aware, is, Marriott's news about getting into the space, going into the deep end. Obviously last year they bought Postcard Cabins, but last week they announced the Marriott, Bonvoy outdoor collection. They were at the lodging conference in Scottsdale last week presenting with several of, we would know many of the glamping manufacturers, to get, really fully engaged in the outdoor space. And depending on which perch you sit on, that's a good thing or a bad thing. Ultimately, I think it's an incredible thing. It will bring more awareness, distribution, marketing, knowledge, data, everything that, we've been yammering for to help grow the space. So I'm pretty excited about that.
Yeah, I think and again, we don't want to spend too much of the show on it because we've covered it a few other places. I think we talked about it last week on the show briefly, and then obviously the glamping show, and it's been all over LinkedIn. And we did a little bit of a take with myself and Scott Barr on this on Outwired last week. And I agree with you. The attention is good. I think it will bring awareness to the ability of people who maybe have not considered cabin rentals, like postcard rentals, or staying out, being more connected in nature without the walls around them of shared rooms, right? I think, to me, it's questionable about how far they're pushing into glamping, because the word glamping is not used in many places on their website, and there's a lot of hotels that they're including in this package. And to the best of my knowledge so far, despite those vendors being there, and obviously this is going to change and this is going to evolve, and we don't know where this is going to go yet, because Secret Creek was there, like you're saying, and Zook and the Oud Mirror cabins and things like that. I've seen hotels be part of this collection and cabin rentals. I haven't seen what I would consider real glamping, which doesn't have a definition, but from our industry side of it, right? That diversity of a resort experience around glamping. So we'll see. Like, it definitely is not going to hurt, but I'm tempering my expectations, and then I'll just be pleasantly surprised, which I hope I will be. So it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, my question was, if you put a tent on a patio on the 12th floor of the Hilton in New York City, and they have to go inside and use the public bathrooms, is that glamping? But they're getting $700 a night for it.
I don't know. It's a good business model.
So
Who cares what it's called?
I think, as we've spoken on this show multiple times, glamping can be whatever you define it as. Right?
Yes.
There are the purists who say glamping is only a yurt on the side of a cliff overlooking the stars. There's no one around you. But I think as we're seeing glamping evolve to many different definitions, there's glamping in an RV resort. There's glamping only properties. There's multiple glamping units. There's auto camp. There's postcard, and so I think ultimately what it does is it brings awareness to the space, and will absolutely have people hunting for outdoor hospitality, whatever that looks like, however that's defined from a glamping standpoint. It will provide marketing dollars, power, driving for data that we haven't been able to be fully successful with on our own yet. It will absolutely evolve the space. So whatever that looks like and how you define whatever they deliver, to be determined, but it for sure will enhance the space overall.
I for sure agree with that. It for sure is going to push operators forward. It's going to evolve the space. I'm 100% on board with that. I'm just not sure how much of a benefit it's going to be to the existing glamping industry, but we'll see. Like, I'm neither optimistic nor pessimistic. I'm just saying, like, let's see, because glamping, we looked at the website, is not all over the place right there, which it doesn't need to be. That's not necessarily the word that has to be used, right? I think outdoor hospitality and luxury camping overall is probably a better fit, but
and I was actually working on some of the research for one of the hotel chains vicariously through a friend. And when they researched the word glamping, they strategically chose not to use it because all of the historical research they found, not looking at current, but everything, there was more references to glamping or being a glamper from what its original context was, which meant you were camping in an RV. Tent camping was camping. Glamping was camping in an RV. And so they did not want to be confused with that. And so that's why they're strategically not using that.
What do you think, Sangeetha?
I agree. I think glamping is really not something even. So I used to work for IHG for 11 years. It was,
okay.
Yacht.
Now we're even more interested in what you think. So go ahead.
Yeah,
we were interested before, but I'm just saying that adds a credibility layer.
So that was my world. It's just, the optics are important, and they're not going to invest in something that they're going to have to spend a lot of money to overcome existing meanings. They're just not going to do that. They're just going to take the easy way out. I agree. I think glamping is going to be less relevant to them. Luxury camping, outdoor hospitality are going to be much more viable.
So I know we want to talk mostly about Dunya Camp on here, but will you please give us just from working at 11 years at IHG, how do you feel like the hotel industry will change, evolve, adapt to the space?
To this space? Oh my gosh, I think there's already rumblings.
Well, yeah, there is, but will they dip their toes into it? Will they go more into it like Marriott? Will they?
It's still nascent, right? I mean, when you think about large companies like that, they're not interested in smaller properties. And right now, the landscape is a bunch of millions of smaller properties. That's not something they're interested in. It costs them too much money to go chase these smaller deals. They're looking for consolidated entities, whatever that is, right? I like design hotels. Marriott is an example. Some guy put a bunch of hotels and called it design hotels, but he did all the grunt work, and there were quite a few properties under that umbrella, and Marriott just swooped in and bought that. So that's kind of what I'm envisioning is going to happen if the glamping operators are smart. They're not going to go one by one to find these smaller deals. So that's just my take. Based on
so we either need a glamping operator that's going to build their own brand, kind of almost like an Under Canvas did, exactly like an Under Canvas did, right. Or something like that, or a Postcard Cabins or things like that, or we need somebody who's going to do some consolidation work, some standardization work of acquiring existing properties and turning them into something similar, and then Marriott acquires them, so like it eats up the food chain.
Exactly. That's pretty much how it's
Okay.
gonna go.
Well, tell us about, is it, I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right. Dunya Camp? Dunya? I feel
Well,
like
if
I'm
you're from
pronouncing it wrong.
Dunya, but the way to pronounce it is Dunya.
Dunya, okay.
Yeah.
So tell us about Dunya Camp.
Yeah, so this was a post IHG, post COVID or during COVID project. It was actually one of my what I called my little project, which ended up being not so little after all, because I was chasing so many other deals at that time, mostly in the traditional hotel space. But somehow this is the one that kind of survived. And it was a lot of work. As they say, it's the same amount of work whether you're doing a $100 million deal or a $5 million deal. So this was, I've always wanted a brand of my own. I just didn't think it was going to be in the glamping luxury camping space. But it just kind of happened. I think I also got married, and my husband is very much an outdoors person. He's an outside cat. I'm an inside cat. And so we kind of had to kind of compromise on vacations. And so that was the genesis for the idea. Is we went camping, and I was like, how do I do this, but not this? And yeah, that's how the idea started.
Did you say it started as an IHG project, or you were just working at IHG?
No, this was post IHG. Yeah, I left right before COVID to go do my own thing, and then COVID happened, and I had all this free time.
So what was your idea behind this when you first got it started?
So it was based on a camping trip that I took with my husband. We went out west and camped for 3 nights, and it was quite the experience for me. I'm not really a camper. And it was just one of those conversations. You're like, well, this would be nice, but if, and then all of a sudden in my hotel hat, was like, well, I wonder if this could be something. I mean, not that glamping wasn't, it's
thing, yeah.
Marriott was putting up tents at Coachella for years, so it wasn't anything new. It's just, it was new to me. So I had to do a little bit more research, and we really liked the idea of it being something different.
So how did you, like, what I guess my first question is what makes Dunya Camp different in your mind and through your eyes?
Well, I think the design, we really invested heavily in creating something that felt very different from your everyday world. That was important to me. Because when you spend this kind of money, you kind of want to be somewhere else. And so having the opportunity to drive 2-3 hours and feel you're in a completely different continent, that was kind of the draw. So we wanted to create something that was very special, very beautiful, very crafted. I didn't feel like, because even luxury hotels these days, it's just mass produced. The rooms are all the same. You spend $2,000 a night, it's still the same room. So we try to make it a little bit bespoke. Not everything is bespoke, but quite a bit of it is.
Did you model it off something? Did you take inspiration from anything? Did you?
Yeah, quite a bit. Gosh, we looked at Jack's Camp, all of the South African projects. Quite a few hotels, sort of the more kind of old school luxury hotels. A lot of Moroccan riads. It was all over the place, in places I've been to, liked.
It is interesting to me, and we've had a couple guests mention this on the show previously, but how, I don't know if it's fair to say this, I haven't done enough research, but I think you could say that glamping was basically modeled off of some of those African camps, right? Right.
Yeah. And then if you go back even historically, it was modeled off kind of the kings. I mean, the Indian kings had elaborate tents. So did the Persian kings. Those tents are now sitting in a country house, in the English countryside, actually. And you can go see them. They're quite elaborate. Yeah. It was the original glamping. It was for royalty. And
I feel like that would be a good show. Mike, can you sponsor me on a trip to go see this?
I'll be right there.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, so there's some precedent, for glamping. It goes back centuries.
It's fascinating to me, and I guess maybe that's a story that we for sure need to dive into. Shara, if you're listening, we need to find some guests to talk about that. Maybe we can find the people from the property who have the tents, or just maybe even a couple historians to talk about it, because I think that's something fascinating that we talk about glamping is new in the United States, and then we talk about how the UK, we're going to get to Hannah here in a second, but how glamping is much more evolved in the UK, but nowhere is as evolved as what we were talking about with the pharaohs and the kings and the African safari camps and things like that. And that's kind of the roots of where all that stuff come from. I think it would be funny not funny. It would be interesting to learn the history of all of those things. So tell us, how did you end up choosing your location and where you're at and what your kind of mission is and who your guests are that you want to serve?
So, I'm from Atlanta. That's where I live. Moved during the Olympics in 1996. I've been there since then. And so Georgia is my home state. So I did look for land. It took a year. Land, I think, is the most important character in luxury camping. It's the primary, it's the main star. So you've got to find the right land. It's got to feel good. It's got to have the good views. It's got to be worth, driving up there and being there. So it took us a while. I think that was the hardest part, was finding the right piece of property. We looked all over Tennessee, North Carolina, and then ended up in North Georgia. But actually, the northwest corner of the state, which I had no clue. I didn't even know this portion existed. But I saw the property advertised on LandWatch, and they had this company out of Colorado had just bought, several hundred acres, and they were carving it up. And we went to go see it, and it was just stunning.
Mike, I'm curious. I'm gonna put you on the spot here for a second, Mike. Has CRR ever considered like doing a glamping only resort, either from management or from ownership?
Absolutely. We've considered several times. We've looked at a couple on our own. We've still got a couple pieces of land that we've been, looking to cultivate for 3 or 4 or 5 years. We just haven't found the right best use case, and the demand factor, we just haven't felt was the right opportunity. We've spoken to multiple investors and partners, about glamping only. We have 3 that we're working on right now that are in various stages that may or may not come to fruition, that will either be partners or management companies on. But it's, the glamping only properties, we go back to the earlier discussion, there's several versions, like looking at St. Gita's property, there's $700, $800, $900 a night type units, which, you're not typically going to find a 40, 50, 60 glamping only unit type property of those kinds of units. They're typically going to be, 3 to 10 to 12. Bolt Tree Farms is another one. There's examples of those, and then there's the, $300 to $700 type units. Auto camp version. If you will, postcard cabins, and so it kind of depends on what kind of access to capital you have, what your demand factors are. I think it's becoming more. We just talked to a client yesterday, where 5-6 years ago we pitched something. They had pitched something, I should say, and it was a 60-70 unit project, and back then nobody had heard of that kind of thing, and now it's back on the table 5 years later. Feasibility study says it works, and so long story short is, yes, it just needs to be the right opportunity. They're far more expensive. I mean, they're outdoor lodging units, but it also depends, again, what your definition. If you're a purist and you want 3-5 units on the side of the Grand Canyon versus a 60 unit glamping property, they're not exactly the same thing. No. Which is what's kind of fun about it. And they never will be, right? It's not a courtyard compared to a courtyard compared to a courtyard, right? They're all unique. They're all individual. They all have, bespoke DNA, and so it's not a one size fits all answer. I don't know if that answered your question.
Yeah, I mean, I think so. I mean, that's because I come from this world of mostly RV resort, hybrid cabin rentals, glamping, and then I'm getting into, over the last 5 years, the pure glamping resorts. And so it interests me to hear from the people who have started in the RV resort environment. Like, is that still, now that you've been exposed to glamping and the changes in consumer behavior and the rise of places like Hip Camp and Harvest Hosts and the need for greater experiences and the diversity of the economy and all those things, are you open to, like, maybe camping, or whatever you want to call it, can exist without RVs in some places in the right use case with the right feasibility study? That's I want to get to Hannah's story, but I have one more question for you, Mike. If Marriott opened franchising for an outdoor resort that was more of a hotel but still connected to nature, would you be in line?
100%. I mean, we're an approved Marriott manager company right now. Number one. Number two is, if you look at the new Marriott Bonvoy Outdoor Collection, they didn't just open 450 glamping resorts, right? If you go through them, they're curated properties that are outdoor hospitality-ish, that include experiences more than like what Sangeeta's property is, which is built out of the side of a mountain and an incredible unit. So, where this goes and how this evolves, it's very nebulous, which I think is good, because it can be one of many different things. So they've already opened it. I mean, that's the entire intent of that outdoor Bonvoy collection, is to, create this different segment. But what it ends up being, is up for discussion, and I don't think anybody will be able to answer it. If you look at that collection of properties, not one of them is going to be the same.
No, but I think that's the beauty of it, right? I think the idea is I want to have a place where I can be connected to nature. And if that's in a separate individual safari tent, if that's in a disconnected postcard cabin, if that's in a resort in Costa Rica where like maybe 3 or 4 people are next to me, but I have my own private balcony overlooking the jungle and I can walk out the back door and go on hiking trails through the rainforest. That's what I just want to be connected to nature. And I think there's so many different opportunities for ways to do that Marriott is going to open up kind of that, like you said, the capital, the vision, the ability for people to more seek legitimacy, I think, in this industry. Not that it's not legitimate already, but from banks and cities and developers and all those kinds of things, right? I think it brings in those.
Well, and you just said it is kind of how I define it, right? Outdoor to access to the outdoors. So, if you go back to the original definition of glamping, it's glamorous camping, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so what does that mean? There is no, you're going to break the law rule depending on how you define it. But we just had a session yesterday with our entire leadership team about, is it a vacation rental unit or is it a glamping unit? And really, to me, what differentiates the glamping unit is how do you leverage the outdoors, right? Where does your property sit? What does the programming look like? How are they engaging wellness? What's the holistic experience? Because otherwise it's a vacation rental unit, right? You might as well Airbnb it, put the code in the door, enjoy your stay.
There's some pretty nice Airbnbs that are connected to nature, though. But anyway, I'll
of course. But that's exactly how we defined it yesterday. Is really, where these units differentiate themselves is you have access to the outdoors in some form or fashion, and then the unit is, while it's certainly an important component, it's the experience that separates it more than anything else.
For sure. And I'll
shut up.
No, I should have led up this for the show too. Sangeeta or Hannah, after we talk to you in a second, obviously feel free to ask. Like, we want you guys to be interactive in the conversation. Please don't feel like we have to wait for you to come to you. So if you have a question for Mike, or you have a question for Hannah, or Hannah, you have a question for Sangeeta or whatever, please, the less I talk, the better the show will be. So Hannah, please. So sorry it took so long to get to you. We were having a good conversation, and I know it's late over there in the UK. Tell us about your property, please. But don't give away the goat yoga yet.
So our farm's about 240 acres. So it's a small farm. It's my husband's family farm. His granddad bought the farm. And 10 years ago, 10 years ago I started the glamping. Prior to that, a few years before, I was training as a lawyer, and I was in my last stages of training, but I became quite ill with something called electrosensitivity. A lot of people don't know what it is. It just means you can't be around like the laptop. I've got everything wired, there's no Wi-Fi, no phone, nothing wireless, yeah. So I became really sick in my career. Okay, so I had to just leave it. And then I just spent money, like everyone does, trying to get better from something. Spend a lot of money on trying to get better. Anyway, I had a house that was my only home from the age of 19, and then obviously I moved in with Mark at the farm, and I sold my little house to buy. First of all, I was going to get a tree house, okay, to have on the farm in this beautiful area on the valley hillside. But the ones I was looking at were 120,000, and that was the money I had. 127,000 pounds from my house that I sold. And then my mum, she lives in Australia, but she was over at the time, and she said, "Why don't you look at these shepherd's huts? Because you could get 2 for less than that." So that's what I ended up getting, 2 shepherd's huts to begin to earn myself some money, because I'd always been quite self-sufficient like that and had my own career. So I wanted to do something, and the farm was never earning enough for the family, really. So that's how it began. And my daughter was 18 months old, and that was fun, trying to do everything with an 18-month-old in tow. And my son was about 5 then. And I did everything then. I did all the cleaning, I did the ironing, I ran and got the breakfast packs, the barbecue packs, the milk from the local dairy. Oh my gosh, I never realised how much work it would be. It was a lot. Yeah.
That's why I'm a podcast host. I'm not brave enough to do that.
I was like, oh my gosh. And I had a friend who helped do some cleaning after, I don't know, was it the first year maybe I got him to help. But it was now and then. I still did most of it. Just full on. But 2 shepherd's huts. So we've got like a rewilded valley. So 10 years ago, actually, same time as we put the shepherd's huts there, we stopped putting the cows in so much. So instead of one oak tree in the valley, we now have loads of trees. So it's rewilded itself. And we have a shepherd's hut on a valley hillside, all on its own, no one else around, not near a road, not near any houses. And then we had the woodland hut in our ancient woodland, which is about 10 acres of ancient woodland. And we don't have the woodland hut there anymore because we took it away because we thought we'd do something different, something bigger, because these shepherd's huts are quite small. They're like 15 foot by 6 foot 7, something like that. But then we never did anything in the woodland. So the woodland hut is now sitting out in our field, not knowing what we're going to do with it. But I have made the decision with the valley one to build a larger unit because it's not big enough for a family. I want to be able to have families stay comfortably. So that's going to be our focus, but it's just going to be one nice unit now. Because we haven't really got the funds to do 2 anyway now, to be honest, really. So we need to do one nice one. And 3 years ago, we started just doing it. Oh no, before that, so we missed out a bit. After COVID, I decided to buy some of these Lotus Bell tents. I don't know if you've seen them, the Stargazer Lotus Bell tents.
Yeah.
Beautiful tents, okay. I bought 2 of those, and that's so we had the 2 huts and the 2 Lotus Stargazers, and we ran those for 2 years. So that was the first year after COVID. And that's when it became really busy that year. Everyone was desperate just to come out and, get out in nature. But at the same time in England, a lot of people started opening up campsites, glamp sites a lot easier than it was for me. So for me, it was hell going to the local council. They were awful. They were not supportive. But come COVID time, people could get these special licenses. It was a lot easier, okay? So a lot more popped up. But we thought, yeah, we'd run this, we'd be busy. But to be honest, the tents, in the second year, and it was a hot summer, we began to get mold on them. And I was like, I can't be doing this. I can't. So we just did 2 years of the glamping tents, and that's it. Got rid of them.
Yeah, there's a lot of rain in the UK. I feel like that's probably an issue for people with those kinds of tents.
And it was, I guess as well, one was on the side of the woods where you get the sun, and then you get obviously the change in temperature, and then that's when the mold comes, doesn't it? And I thought, oh, I can't be doing this. Yeah, and the rain one year wasn't so good, and we just stopped doing it. Went back to the huts, and then opened up for some camping pitches instead. That's the best thing I could have done, is the camping pitches. Yeah.
So I'm curious, as a smaller operator, can I call? Is that fair to call you a smaller operator?
Yeah, tiny. Tiny, yeah.
As a smaller operator, how do you look at, like, it's been 10 years, you said, since you started your first glamping accommodation, or whatever we're calling it. We haven't decided yet. The outdoor hospitality, Marriott, non-Bonvoy, glamping, luxury camping, RV adventure, whatever we're calling it. So since it's been 10 years since you've had that, you've kind of watched the glamping industry maybe in the UK grow up and change around you?
Yeah.
Does that impact how you think about operating your business, or are you just kind of satisfied? Like, how does that, I guess.
Okay, so what's happened, it used to be bell tents, a lot of bell tents. That was the first thing. Shepherd's huts. Then it's exploded into so many shepherd's huts. and then yes, tents, but now it's evolved to more high-end stuff really. So we're kind of left behind a bit really with our shepherd's hut that was 10 years ago, compared to everybody wants the hot tubs now, that kind of thing, you know. I don't want to be doing that. I don't really want to be, the water flow is quite slow up the hill because it's very off-grid anyway. I don't want to be emptying hot tubs every 48 hours, trying to work out what to do with the water. I like people who just want to come for nature and the location. It's stunning where it is. It's definitely, the demands have got higher, I would say, 100%, from just being a beautiful place in nature with simple accommodation really. It's changed a lot, and there is so much in England now. It's swamped really the market.
Do you feel like has it changed the consumer demand for the types of accommodations they want, or has it expanded the market to just reach more people?
Yeah, good question. I don't know, because looking at what we've earned, actually it said what we've earned from the first year to now. I was thinking it's about the same, but actually saying that it's gone down if it's the same amount of money as it was 10 years ago. So yeah, maybe, I mean, we get a lot of returning guests. We get a lot of people who love it here. But so at the moment I'm a bit confused what to do for the best, really. I'm in that situation at the moment. I know the camping has done better really than the glamping put together, because I know that was one of the questions for me to look at for this was, does the higher end, like the glamping, support the, you know, more of the building facilities for the camping and things? Well, actually no, for me the camping has been better financially than the glamping, because there's so much to think about with glamping units, so many costs, and with camping there's just not.
Can I put you on the spot, Mike? How would you diagnose this and help her decide what to do? I know you only have like 30 seconds and that there's obviously deeper things and things you need to know and all that, but how would you just start to approach this if you were her?
I mean, to me, numbers and data always tell the story. So, you know, you got to analyze which has the higher revenue potential, but it isn't necessarily about revenue, it's about profit. And so what we always say is, if you look at, you know, profit from a margin standpoint, your RV site is always, your camping site is always going to be more profitable, you know, from a margin standpoint. However, your glamping is always going to be more profitable from a dollar standpoint. You know, you can't take margin to the bank, you can take dollars to the bank. But, you know, what answers that question is, what is your demand, you know, for those, and what is your operational load? So, I mean, it's a far, far bigger question than just, you know, throwing that out. But I would look at your numbers and analyze, you know, what is your potential, but what is your more profitable, which is going to be the glamping. It's just a question of, you know, what's the demand for there that you can drive that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure. It's way more complex, right? I just wanted to give our audience, people who are listening, and then her some like, where do I start? Because I think that's a big blocker for a lot of people who are building glamping sites or trying to expand or deciding whether to add RVing or subtract RVing or whatever else. Is where do
I mean, you know, it's I mean, it's a good point, Brian, and the way we look at it too is, you know, you can, and there's different kinds of glamping, right? Especially if you already have camp spots that have hookups, you know, you can certainly look at park models, which you can just plug and play, right? You can get some cabins, you know, that are designated as RVIA vehicles, park models that you can, you know, classify as glamping, which will certainly get a higher rate at. And, you know, you can be flexible with your space. You can move them. I mean, not that you would, but I mean, in and out, so to speak, versus, you know, what's a different type of glamping unit, like a yurt or, you know, permanent structure, etc. But really the demand will dictate, you know, what you can and should do. If the demand says, if you're sold out every weekend on your glamping units, then you're not charging enough. And if you're sold out on your glamping units, then you could probably use more. But in general, you're going to want to land on as many glamping units as you can that remain profitable while you're maximizing your occupancy revenue and profit. So the answer to that is be individualized, for property.
Well, and I don't know more all about what you do on your farm, Hannah, but I've got 2 parks that are agritourism parks. I don't own them. I work with them. One is in Central Florida, and he has longhorn cattle. And he's the one that I was telling you, people have heard about him and they fly in from New York and all over the world because their kids have never seen a live cow, never seen a goat, never seen all these things. And literally he's got all this property. He could probably put 10,000 tents on it. He only had 10 hookup sites for RVs, but people will come in and stay in tents, even though they may or may not be campers, for the experience of seeing what's going on in his farm. My other friend, she runs an equine therapy. They have a big farm. She's big into horses, so she does equine therapy. Well, her husband was construction, had no insurance, and fell off a ladder off the top of a roof and broke his back. Well, 11 months in a cast, and they were about to lose the farm. And so she came up with this idea of inviting people to come to their farm and just, if they had an RV, they were boondocking. If they wanted to come and tent camp, they could bring their own tent, or she would sell them one and just rent them one. And literally in 3 months, they had paid off all of their debt for their past due bills from her husband being out, because people would come just to camp on their property, kind of watch what was going on with her equine, see the horses. They also had chickens and goats that they just had for fun. So her oldest son was 17 years old, and they would do a big breakfast where the kids would go collect the eggs, and they also had pigs and stuff too. But anyway, the little kids that were coming, they were getting the eggs out of the hen house, and they thought that they were getting to eat the eggs that they had just gotten. And so it was this huge thrill for them. And so then, they've combined that now, but they have one event a year that's a big music thing that benefits her equine nonprofit that brings in over $100,000 in net profit. Mm-hmm. And they never invested in one piece, not a building, not a tiny home, nothing. They bought tents from Walmart. So I think there's a lot of possibilities for where you are just to get started. And then that may fund more of what you want to do so you get to where Sangeeta is. I text you and saying, I'm 3 hours south of you, and I have got to come see your location. It's
come visit. Come visit. We'd love to host you.
Charge her double, Sangeeta.
Yeah.
She's got money. She's got like 7 RVs and travels around the country. She's got like 700 camps she works with. You did say you work for free though, didn't you? So all right, maybe.
Yeah, I do. But the industry takes care of me. They understand the importance of having good campgrounds and enough of the what we call known and desirable sites. And so they take good care of me to make sure I am helping to solve industry problems at campgrounds, and it just works.
How do you think about this, Sangeeta, at your property? How do you think about the guest experience and how you continue to evolve that for the people that you're serving?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the core of what we do, right? At the end of the day, we want to create something that people feel like it was worth their money to come here and spend the time. Yeah, I mean, it's obviously maintaining the property. We spend a lot of time in maintenance because that's the one thing I noticed. I mean, I've been in the hotel business for most of my adult career, and I know that even at the Six Senses, that $1,000 a night experience can go down very fast if the room is just in such a bad shape. It could be clean, but if it's kind of ratty looking, you've lost the first impression. So we spend a lot of time in maintaining the property. We don't really do a lot of landscaping. We just kind of clean it up because we want to keep it kind of wild, not make it look like a subdivision, because that's just not
probably a good idea.
Yeah, so to kind of have the kind of wild feel, like you have these tents that just got plopped onto the middle of the wilderness, is kind of the look we're going for. But we keep it clean, we maintain it. And also, we have, as I think one of the emails you guys sent, you were asking about the check-in and the check-out days. Yeah, we do that for 2 reasons. One is operational. The cleaning crew, we have 2 cleaning crews. They actually drive in from Metro Atlanta, not Atlanta Central, but somewhere in the area. and they have to make a living. They're not going to come for just 1 unit, 2 units. So we kind of consolidate check-ins to 3 days. It also helps the guest because we don't have people on the property blowing the deck, vacuum cleaners. It's very quiet. So it's kind of like a show. The show starts and the show ends, and then
It's a good way to put it.
To get it ready for the next the next show. So that's kind of how we operate, and it works out great for us. We get everything done and there's nobody on the property. Some guests do stay over. We just let them know, hey, we're going to have our crew on site, but it's so rare. It happens. It's happened 3 times in almost 3 years. So this is huge.
I'm interested how much personal hospitality is involved in what you do. How much interaction do you have with your guests or your staff have with your guests?
Very little. If we're on site, we meet them. But to be honest, most of our guests, they're like, if you tell them, hey, do you want us to show you the tent? They're like, we got it. Some of them want to meet us, some of them don't. But you feel it's very personal in different ways. I write a handwritten note to all the guests. We leave them a little gift. So there's different ways of doing luxury. It's not just shoving people in your face with the whole kind of master servant type model, right? That's kind of very old school luxury. So we don't do that. We feel very taken care of, and our guests love it, and they're just left alone. So I say it's a great place to go have an affair because no one's going to know. No one, people that want to hide, people that don't want paparazzi.
There's no Coldplay playing next door or anything. Or?
What is it? There's
no Coldplay playing next door for.
No Coldplay. Unless you count the deer across the mountain, just keepers.
It is interesting. Go ahead, please finish. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I said it's very private. So yeah, we don't really. The guests interact through what we created for them, not so much as people, in their face.
What you're saying, I think, is so foundationally important to just understanding. We all talk about experiences, and that's obviously very important. We all talk about the type of units, and that's very important. We talk about the landscaping, the design, but just that piece of, I think there's often a mindset between a lot of the operators that I want to be friendly, I want to meet the guests, I want to be personal, and that for sure helps, and that is for sure a benefit, and things that many people will remember and write about reviews. But I think it's worth remembering sometimes that there are certain people who like it certain ways and certain people who like it other ways. Like me, I went to I stayed in this old castle in Ireland a couple weeks ago, and it was an Airbnb, and we ended up being the only people in the it was just a tower, right? I wanted one that was really old and looked like a castle inside versus the Queen's estate or something. So I wanted to know I was in a castle inside and outside. And so it was an Airbnb, but and we had the note from the guest and from the host who was there, and there's 4 rooms in this tower, and we're all the way in the top, and we're the only people there. And it was just let me know. I'm happy to come out and meet you. You can play with the dogs and all that kind of stuff. And I thought about it for we only stayed there one night. I really like to meet this woman, but also it kind of feels like we're just alone in this castle, and it's just really cool to just be alone in this castle. If there had been other guests there, maybe I would have met her, and so I went between both things, and we never ended up meeting her. But it's just interesting, that push and pull between how both things can turn out to great experiences for different people.
It just wasn't sustainable for us. We're not a regular hotel. It's like going back to the show example. The actors don't greet you before the show starts. You may get to meet them maybe, or maybe not, but then you leave and you have a great time. We haven't really heard any feedback from our guests. They all love it. It's also the details. We really pour over the details, and that's how you show you care. It's very clean. It's spotless. My husband grew up in Germany and is just so obsessed with being very clean. He's trained the crews really well. So they all have the little headlamps, which I know we're a bit obsessive about that, but it helps. It shows. And sometimes things do get missed. That is kind of a human condition, but we try not to.
Yeah, but you're right. It's that care. It's that attention to detail. It was there's another place, and I just keep bringing up Ireland, but there's another place because it fits the conversation. We stayed in a little cabin alongside the river, and it was really well thought of. They had all the instructions. They told us how to use the hot tub outside and all the things. And how to operate the automatic blinds that went over the windows. But the one thing they didn't, and I gave them feedback, but the one thing they didn't is you went in the shower and there's like a battery operated like electric water heater thing. And to turn on the shower, there's a chain outside. There's no dial. And so it took me like probably a minute and a half. And I'm like, oh, it's got to be this chain. And I just pulled it and the water came on, right? But having that kind of instruction there. But those little things, the attention to detail and everything else really can give you that same guided host experience if you kind of put yourself in their shoes.
Yeah. Well, and I really love what you said about how you don't necessarily go out and greet your guests and meet them, but you're handwriting a note, or you're, leaving them a gift. And it kind of reminded me of my travel years before I got into the outdoor hospitality glamping side of things, because I was blessed to be able to travel international. And there were a lot of hotels that we would go into where they did similar things, right? Mm-hmm. They made you feel cared for and known. And yeah. I always say the difference between a hotel and a campground is I'll walk into a hotel and that guest agent has no clue who I am. Even if I'm coming and going every single week there, they may never know. They don't ask me my name. I can't go across the hall and ask for sugar, right? There's not the community in a hotel like there is in the campground, where you kind of feel like you're all friends whether you've ever met or not.
I think you should try to build a community in a hotel, Sandy. You would be a great person for that.
I would love it. I
think you should start a TikTok channel on knocking on people's doors and asking for sugar.
Listen,
I bet you that would go viral.
There was actually a video of me that went viral many years ago. I was going to a conference. I was on a Delta airplane, and we were getting ready to take off out of Atlanta to travel to somewhere in Arizona. I don't remember where the conference was, but I kind of recognized a lot of my peeps. I thought I knew who they were. So before we took off, I stood up and I said, okay, everybody who's on this plane that's going to the conference, raise your hand. And it was like 2/3 of the plane raised their hands. And I said, okay, I am the fun coordinator. Where are we meeting after we check in? And somebody was recording me because they thought that I was when I stood up, they were worried about what was going to happen. And they're like recording me. And it literally, I bet it had 100,000 views. Now, most of it was employees of this organization. But hey, back then, 100,000 views was a lot. So I would be the right person, Brian.
All right. I want to see that then. We'll make that happen. We'll sit down at Ojai and we'll talk about it. We have a couple minutes left. Hannah, I want to get back to your, obviously, the goat yoga question, but tell us about some of the amenities and experiences that people can do when they stay with you.
Okay, so 4.5 years ago, I took on my first 2 goats, Custard and Mustard. And that was just because I wanted goats, not that I thought of what we could do with goats. And then I just started doing some goat walking. Just small scale, just a few people, whoever was staying, and then I made a Facebook group and we did bookings through the Facebook page. And then having goats, it gets a little bit addictive, so I got 2 more the next year, and now I have a herd of 10
Do
goats.
they all still rhyme with custard and mustard, or did you lose that?
Carrot and parsnip.
Okay.
Biscoff and banoffee, things like milkshake and latte. That's all. Their names. So it just more goats, and then started to get a bit busier with the goat walking. That became quite popular, and then we've just been doing that for the past 4.5 years. But a couple of years ago, I started doing qigong with the goats, and so many people don't know what qigong is. If you say Tai Chi, people have an idea. So I was doing qigong in the forest with my goats, and they were.
Wait! You got to tell us what that is, because we don't know.
Qigong, yeah. Well, it's similar to Tai Chi, and Tai Chi is more like you're working with an opponent, but qigong's it's not like that. There's 3,500 types of qigong, so it's hard to kind of explain it, but it's working with energy. So
okay,
if you feel for an energy,
like Reiki or like something like that, or
what's that?
Like Reiki?
Well, I suppose it's all chi, life force energy, prana, all the same thing. So, but it's almost like harvesting that energy, and it really makes everything flow in the body, and I love it, and it's really good health-wise. I found it really good. So that's what I began to do, and then offered qigong with goats, and nobody really knows what qigong is. So anyway, I then did yoga with goats, and this year is the first year that it's taken off more. Yeah.
Okay.
Some classes I've had, like last weekend I had 11 people in one and 10 people on Saturday, and then the weekend before I had 2 people. So it's sort of been a bit up and down, but it's definitely been a lot popular this year, and I've kind of found the thing that I really enjoy. The goat walking went a bit quiet this year, which is a shame because I had some volunteers that have been with me for a year, and I thought, well, I'd be able to give them some goat walks, and it was just so quiet this year. I don't know why, but they weren't coming in. We've had a few. We had 2 today, which is great, and we've got some on Sunday. But yeah, the goat yoga, I've definitely found my thing. But what's really interesting is the people who come to stay, camping or glamping, are not the people that book the experiences. It's like 90% of people outside, and I would like more people to come and want to do the experiences, but I don't know why that is. It just doesn't seem to work out that way for some reason.
It's probably something to do with just the way you're marketing yourself. Not that you're marketing yourself wrong, but that you just need to do a better job of tying the story together and reaching because there are people out there who are crossovers, right? And there are people who would do goat yoga that you can convert to people who would stay, and people who would stay who would be like, oh, I guess I'll try that, right? And then they might love it.
Yeah,
So
I still get told that even local people, say in the next town 10 miles away, they'll say, I didn't even know you were here.
Yeah.
I get a lot of that. I get so many people do say that, and Get Your Guide I've had to use recently for the goat yoga, but they take 30%, don't they? It's a lot.
You can do, well, 30% of something in your pocket is still better than nothing in your pocket, right?
I know.
So you shouldn't rely on them forever, but yeah, but that's like you could do the best marketing in the entire world. I remember that something stuck out to me. There's Twin Falls KOA in Idaho. I used to work with the former owners there, Oscar and Kim Carranza. And years ago, I was at their property 2013, 2014. We were doing videos of Oscar around at different attractions and stuff. And one of the things he said to me was like, we've been here for 50 years across. My dad owned it before me, and still people in the town 5 minutes down the street have no idea that we're here. And he was right off the highway with a big, huge yellow KOA sign, right? And so, yeah, like the marketing helps, but you're always going to have that new audience that you can reach if you think about ways to tell the story. And so,
yeah, there's something definitely I'm not doing quite right, because I think there's a bigger commercial one for goat walking, who's, I don't know, about 25 miles away from here. And I think they get a decent amount of people in, but they're offering like a half an hour experience, and we offer an hour and a half. And it's like really personal because there are pets and people who come, they love it. They love it. So I know we're offering real quality, but of course there's a bigger firm that have lots of other stuff going on as well. It's just half an hour goat walks. Yeah, I don't know. There's something maybe in marketing that's not so good. I don't know.
Try the airport. Like raise your prices by 30% and put yourself on Airbnb experiences or whatever, and see if it works out for you.
I am on the goat walking and Get Your Guide. I do charge them. Yeah, I do that. Yeah, I'm on goat walking. Airbnb, I get some goat walks come through.
Sandy's trying to duck out. You had a hard stop at 3, Sandy. That's a minute from now.
Yeah, I just wanted to say bye. Well, it was wonderful. Nice to meet you guys.
You too, Sandy.
Thank you, Sandy. I appreciate it. Final thoughts. We got to wrap up here. So, Hannah, where can they learn more about what you're offering and potentially come stay with you?
Okay. Yep. So we are wildwoodlandretreat.co.uk. So that's how you find us. So goat yoga, goat walking. We have one shepherd's hut and some camping. So I do have a Facebook, Instagram page as well.
Do you have a website too? Did I miss that? Sorry.
Yeah, that's the Wild Woodland Retreat.
Okay, sorry, that was my fault. Yeah. Sangeetha, where can they? Any final thoughts, or I guess final thoughts to you first, Hannah. I apologize, I didn't ask that too. Like I said, where can they learn more about you? But any final thoughts about our conversation?
No, not really. I don't really like. Just like that's what I'm like. I'm a bit blank. I'm like, no, nothing that comes to mind at the moment.
Sangeetha?
No final thoughts for me as well. And our website is vineyacamp.com. We're also on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook.
Well, I really appreciate you both of us joining us. It was wonderful to hear about your property, Hannah. I wish you all the best. Like, you'll figure it out, right? You'll figure out how to attract the people and what accommodations to use. And I'm excited. Maybe we can have you back on the show to learn more about what you've done in a little bit, right? And Sangeetha, I really appreciate you joining us as well. We got to figure out a way to share some of these properties and look at pictures and things on the show too. I'd love to do that and just share that with our audience. But
that would be good. Yeah. Baby goats. Yeah.
That's can we do baby goats? I forgot to.
I have just purchased 4 baby goats because I was getting withdrawal symptoms already, not being able to do goat yoga during the winter. And I have this small cabin in here, like 5 by 4 meters. And so I thought I could have 4 people and 4 baby goats. So that's what's happening.
All right. Well, my girlfriend will be on a plane then. She's interested in baby goats, but when they get to adults, she wants to get rid of them. Anyway, all right. Thank you guys for joining us for another episode of MC Fireside Chats. If you're not sick and tired of hearing of me yet, in about an hour, we have another live podcast called Outwired, where I work with Scott Barr from where he works with KOA to do the North American Camping Reports. Really good data analysis guy, and we're going to talk about how to decide when you want to convert an RV site into glamping. And then, as always, the show's called Outwired. We talk a lot about AI and robotics and the coming innovations and the way our world is going to change. So if you're not sick and tired of me, join me for that episode in about an hour. Otherwise, we will see you next week on another episode of MC Fireside Chats. Thank you to Sangeetha, Mike, Sandy, and Anna. And we hope you have a great day. We'll see you next week.
Thanks so much. Good night.
Thank you. See ya.
MC Fireside.